Bruno Weber Park, a walk between sculptures and dreams, Dietikon, Zurich, Switzerland 2024. Greetings, we are back in Switzerland, and today I want to take you to a place that amazed me and which I will tell you about today. To do this, we traveled together to Dietikon, a town in northern Switzerland. It is located in the Limmatal near Zurich. Why are we visiting Dietikon near Zurich? At first glance, this tranquil town lies in the heart of the valley and at the gates of Zurich. Relatively inconspicuous, as in the shadow of the important and well-known Swiss city. But this place has something special, something unique that I have not seen anywhere else. It is home to Bruno Weber Park, a special open-air museum that we visit today. Who was Bruno Weber? Bruno Weber was a Swiss artist from Dietikon and Spreitenbach. His work is known and appreciated far beyond the borders of Switzerland. He was a man who created with his art a world in which imagination and nature became one. The sculptures that Bruno Weber created sparkle with life and magic, inspired by animals, dreams, and a deep connection to nature. But his work was more than mere art. It was an invitation to see the world with new eyes. He was born in 1931 in that city of Dietikon and began to build his house and park in 1962. He not only designed his own home here according to his ideas, but also created new sculptures in his creativity and, together with his wife Maria Anna and his two daughters, Rebecca and Mireille, gave the park an increasingly broad picture of his vision of a dream world over time. This vision and his home continued to evolve over the years, until the artist's death in 2011. The last element was completed in 2012 and finished Bruno Weber's work, which is considered created and completed with his death as a Gesamtkunstwerk. As a young channel here on YouTube, I ask for your support. Please leave me your comments, your stories, a like and a subscription. Thank you very much, and have fun. Journey to Bruno Weber Park. The park is well listed in Google Maps and easily accessible via the motorways in the Zurich area. After reaching Dietikon, you will pass the Stadthalle Dietikon on your way to Bruno Weber's sculpture park. Like the official website, I recommend you park in the parking lot of the Stadthalle and walk the rest if you are there by car. According to my impression on site, this is a good and quiet place to park, but don't forget to get a parking ticket. The fee is not limited to working days and applies according to the machine itself on weekends. At the time of my visit, they only took cash, so have a few Swiss francs with you. From the parking lot, it goes up a hill with a passable gradient, but the entire way is well asphalted, so you directly deserve your personal view of what is coming. Bruno Weber Park in Switzerland. Bruno Weber Park is the largest sculpture park in Switzerland, an outdoor space full of mythical creatures that can be touched in reality. When you turn the corner, you are immediately aware of the first works that made me stop. The beginning is the bird gate, which forms the entrance to the park. Before the path continues up the hill through Hirschallee to the cash register. There are artists who paint with colors, and there are those who create whole mystical worlds with their imagination. Bruno Weber undoubtedly belonged to the latter. For him, in my impression, the world was not simply a place to be inhabited, but a stage that had to be filled with the fantasy of his dream world, the Hirschallee and the Theaterplatz. This is exactly the impression these huge deer made on me when I set out on the way up. Each step reveals more and more of the many pieces that one gradually experiences and in which one can discover new things again and again. I find it very practical in this context that you walk up the hill. It started for me at the parking lot. Every step up increased my curiosity and my interest. And when you arrive at the box office at Theaterplatz, with the deer sculptures behind you, the large cast concrete sculptures on the left and right, as well as the house straight ahead. It seems like something out of a famous fairy tale. You are almost overwhelmed by impressions. I felt the work of Bruno Weber, his family, and the many helpers and supporters already gigantic at the entrance, and that I gained such an impression so early rarely occurs to me, and even that was only the beginning of a special and unexpected day, the day and night gate and the residential building. If you now continue straight on Theaterplatz, you will step through day and night, Tor. At first, you don't notice this gate directly, except for the fact that it is a gate, a conclusion to another area. I find that only if you look closely, you can also collect the smaller impressions, the impressions and subtle nuances that you only see at second glance. And there are so many of them here that I can't completely convey them in this article, neither through my words nor through my pictures and videos. You stop practically almost every moment because you have discovered something new again, if only because changing light and the elements put you in a completely different mood. When you step through the gate, your gaze falls on the right-hand side of the pavilion. For me, this area is proof that it's not just about sculptures made of concrete alone. No, you also play with different materials here, which I think is good. In addition, the pavilion is the place where the artists, even the creators of this entire work of art, worked. This is where we can now admire the magic together. Directly opposite the pavilion is the Gathering of the Wise Men, a series of sculptures conveying a small oasis of peace, like Bruno Weber's first outdoor sculpture, the Goddess of Spring, which is right next to it. This area is dominated by its sheer size, but first and foremost by the residential building, which, as I mentioned, is reminiscent of a fairy tale. Here it is immediately noticeable how differently it is worked. Here it is not only twisted and unusually designed. No window is the same as the other, even if it only looks that way from a distance. There are many different decorations, figures, and pictures that made me want to scan the whole house with my eyes and the camera like a scanner to not miss a detail. This house is a special artistic building that will amaze not only architecture enthusiasts and art lovers, but also with the magical pond and the art-filled forest. We continue, leaving the house to our right and walk towards the ponds behind it. When we step to the right and greet the frog standing on the right as we pass, we reach the pond, the so-called House Via. What is immediately noticeable on the way to the pond is the large bridge that leads over it, the Snake Bridge. I have seen this bridge now in autumn, but I have also seen pictures online of snowy winter and spring. Here too, pictures do not do justice to reality. The bridge made a completely different impression on me than expected. When you see the picture, you think of something very large and wide-curved. Sure, it's not a small bridge, but when I looked at the bridge, I had no sense of size. It was the filigree, the nuances that I found exciting about the bridge, and that attracted me. I didn't take many photos this time, but stopped and looked at the bridge and the whole mood of the pond, and just let it work on me. If I add the dolphin fountain to the right, here too, there is a very own monumental impression. I had the feeling that you see a deliberate symbiosis between art, culture, and nature. The whole picture of the pond and the attached artworks looked like a picture, as if it was meant to be one, not as something brought into nature, but belonging to it. It doesn't seem so elaborate or exaggerated, which art sometimes tends to do. No, it is in my opinion simply coherent. As a picture, a very coherent arrangement of the Swiss artist Bruno Weber. When you leave the timeless atmosphere of the pond, then you step into the forest and onto a forest path that leads to the forest gate to the north. Anyone who thinks this is a simple forest or forest path is mistaken. This area is so much more than that. On the one hand, you get an impression of how extensive the facility actually is. At the entrance to the house, despite its clever and beautiful arrangement, everything seems more crowded compared to the forest. In the forest, you feel like entering a special piece of nature, giving a completely different impression from the house area. The transition feels deliberate into a different theme as we stroll through the forest towards the north, where another artwork awaits us. The Spirit of the Alps, created for the Expo 1992 in Seville, is simply on the side of the road. Again, this is a special piece of art in my eyes, because despite its striking color, it simply blends in with the forest as if it had always been his home. Well, maybe it is with the exception of his stay in Spain to soak up some sun. He should even be playable as an alphorn, which I have not tried. While we continue through the forest to the north, the whole environment seems peaceful. You can easily follow your thoughts like this. This surprised me quite a bit, because Zurich itself, motorways and the industrial areas are not far away. But here you have the feeling of being somewhat detached from everything and distant. I also imagine it to be very relaxing when you live like Bruno Weber in this special house, and simply go for a walk in this environment in the morning or in the evening and let your thoughts wander This special mood in which I fell on my way through this forest is ultimately the reason for the title of my article, because that's exactly how you feel here. The center and its sunken treasures of art. At the forest gate in the north, we turn southwest again on the long path into the middle of the forest. The first thing to notice on the beautiful, natural path are giant fingers sticking out of the ground. Yes, actually fingers. They are called finger lions and are another work of art in this park. The first thought that crossed my mind was that a giant sleeps under the park, digging his fingers through the earth to test the surface. When we reach the center, there are a wealth of beautiful works of art around us, each with its own character. I was directly impressed by one of the artist's later works, the unicorn with birdman, a sculpture that stands sideways in its own area. It also follows the character that it stands right where it belongs, even if, when you look at it, it gives the impression that it comes from a fairy tale, as if rider and animal had landed and stayed here in this place directly from a legend. We stay the same in the animal world and say when we see the cow and bull pavilion on our right. In addition to the impressive work of architecture itself, which is supposed to symbolize the balance of the sexes, it is also the memorial of Bruno Weber, a memorial in a place that is not immediately the first to see, which is impressively designed as a work and symbolizes balance. Here the work is in the foreground and the vision that Bruno Weber wants to convey with his work, but it is also a warm and friendly memory of the person. As already mentioned, this area of Bruno Weber Park is so rich in large and small works of art that I can't even describe them all. No, I tell you, come into this imaginative environment and experience it. There are large and small works of art everywhere. I looked at the whole area very intensively, but I think when I come here again, which I'm sure will happen, I will still find nuances that I didn't see the first time. But I also think that the season also plays an important role in this open-air museum. I had the full colors of autumn during my visit on one of the last sunny days of this year, a work of art that I found very impressive, but I will visit with you before we also make the grand finale. When we step through the bull gate, this sculpture shines on the right. I was lucky during my visit that the sun even stood perfectly against the sculpture, which made it appear bright and radiant. The three-horned winged bull seemed to me in this atmosphere like a symbiotic celestial figure, like a connection between animal and man, an animal angel. Its position is perfectly chosen, and also because of its location gives it a majestic and peaceful effect, a magnificent work of art that has remained in my memory the most. If we leave him alone again, we come to the impressive end of our tour, the water garden. The water garden and the double-winged dog sculpture. Here at the end of our joint tour, I find it difficult to describe the impressions I felt at this total work of art. It's not impressive. I don't think I've seen anything like this before, or will see it anywhere else. When you enter the water garden, the first thing that strikes you is the huge, over 100 meters long, and also walkable from above, who stands like a giant protector or spectator around the basin that forms the water garden. At first you feel like in one of the ancient theaters that I know from Italy and Greece. Yes, like in a theater, even if there is no stage in the middle, but the basin on the side there are other small and large works of art. For example, dragon sculptures, which add additional shapes and colors to the whole frame. Everything is artfully arranged in the water. Here too you will find many more things every few meters. Details, for example artfully designed seating groups on the side behind the dog, are also further works of art. In addition to all the impressions, there are two things that I want to point out to you. If possible, climb up on the back of the dog. The area is not so easy to walk, but the view is fantastic over the whole southern area. If you look carefully where you step, you can even have the experience of sneaking through its snout. On the opposite side is the House of Change with the water garden hall of the Bruno Weber Park and the sanitary facilities. Installations which made me smile. Even the sanitary facilities are artfully decorated on the walls, in bright colors and mosaic art, so even the quiet place is worth a visit whether you need it or not. My thoughts on the Swiss Sculpture Park. First of all, I can only say that visiting this park was a special day in my life for me, It gave me a lot to visit this place, and I hope many other people will be like me in the future. You read a lot in the press about discussions about financing and the foundation. As a moved visitor to Bruno Weber Park, I ask that this monument of the dietetic artist Bruno Weber and his family be preserved. With this article, I thank you for this experience and this place of inspiration, where the power of his imagination was made visible through the collaboration of people. In my opinion, what Bruno Weber created with his sculptural landscape is a place of reflection and nature, which offers a small calm in our today's fast urban world of technology and commerce. It is not only a tourist attraction or a destination for family outings. This largest sculpture park in Switzerland above Dietikon is more. It is a colorful place that is needed far beyond Zurich and Switzerland itself. I hope you enjoyed this article. Also like to look at my other articles full of travel tips and exciting places. Feel free to leave me a like and a subscription. I am always happy about comments and feedback. What excites you when traveling? Which places attract you? Thank you for your attention and wish you a pleasant trip, Florian.